Hello guys, welcome back to the Profit Madness channel. Today we have a lot to talk about. This is going to be a weekly deep dive, looking ahead of the weekly candle closure, what we can expect this upcoming week. So if you guys don't want to miss any sort of content like this, please make sure to leave a like, comment down below. Are you guys buying? Are you guys bearish? What are you guys doing? Right? And subscribe for more content like this. I've been pushing out pretty much one video every single day, except for yesterday because I did have a very important meeting for something that I want to give you guys in the future. So make sure to go and subscribe to the Profit Madness channel. We are slowly growing day by day, so you don't want to miss this. This is where you are going to be getting a lot of content the way that it's meant to be, and no sugarcoating. You see exactly what I see, and we basically track it every single day. If something changes, if I see any major deviation in the plan, I will let you guys know ahead of time, of course. So make sure to subscribe. This is going to be a very important channel, in my opinion, as we head into the old season. So moving straight into the charts, I'm on the weekly time frame, as you guys can see across all these different charts. And before talking about the USD dominance chart, which is a very, very important chart, I want to show you guys the total 3 minus Solana and BNB because I've had these alerts which you guys can go and check in the previous videos. The beauty about us is that because we release so often, you can see what I was calling for in the previous days. Okay, so you can go and check the crypto weekly outlook. You can go and check the previous videos, but what I had previously was this alerts right here, where from this exact level, which is at $559 billion, I said this is where the checkpoint area begins for the total 3 minus Solana minus BNB. And also had this alert, which was below the low from April 2025, where I said, this is where an important checkpoint will be it, where, in my opinion, it could potentially create the next important leg to the upside. So, we have just hit that. You can see the major recovery that we've already seen on the weekly time frame for this particular week. Of course, when I say major recovery, I'm just referring to this particular week. Of course, by leaving a wick so big, we still have to take into consideration a potential drive to the downside one more time. The reason why you want to pay attention to it is because you may see this hypothetical trend line that now has been created as the next potential leg to the downside. In the previous videos, I said that there was a potential, okay, which I personally at this moment do not know if it's going to be coming very soon or later down the line in this particular cycle. But we have to yet retest its main resistance and this current level of support, which based on where it's so currently aligned, we need to go to at least $378 billion. Okay, I'm not necessarily saying that this has to happen right now, guys. I'm just showing you guys an important resistance which has been broken without a proper retest. So eventually, unless this trend line right here expires, okay, which is going to be somewhere around potentially 2028. If you guys want to see my portfolio, my coins, how much I've invested in each coin, my entry prices, and you want to get all of my trades and exit signals, then check out the link down below. You can subscribe to our premium group. This is going to be the best deal that you can get right now. The prices will go up very soon. We want to lock in as many people as possible before the old season starts, because once the old season starts, guys, it will be too late and it will be time to sell, not to buy. So make sure to join Profit Magnets as soon as possible. Get in, secure your spot, and make this your life-changing cycle. We still have to take that into consideration. So will it happen now? Will it happen a little bit later? Or will it happen, after we see a major move to the upside first? That is yet to be decided by the market. I currently do not have enough information to determine if this is something that may still happen at this moment in time. Okay, it is very important to note that, because we also have this runner right here which is missing the third touch. So if we were to go And this is not me calling for it. Okay, I'm just showing you guys what I see on the charts. It's very important that you guys understand the difference. But there is this trend right here that is missing the third touch. If you guys were to have tested trend lines before, you know that the third touch tends to create a trap and a reversion to the opposite direction. We see a very good example of that in this particular trend line where I've had this trend line from April 2025 to the low of October 10th. I created a trend line and I knew because of this that we were going to go to the downside and fill this wick. Okay. But now that we've gotten here, you can see that we started to trade pretty much right away on this in the same week back above the trend line. So what does that imply? That technically speaking, this can start a move to the upside. Okay, this is a projection, so don't take this for gospel. But here as well, look at this. You have this red line right here, which is a trend line that is also missing what? The third touch. You have this trend line right here that is missing what? The third touch. So we know that we do have a little bit of resistance up here, and we're pretty much talking about all-time high territory for altcoins specifically on the 223 market cap chart, excluding Solana and BNB. So we may also see a situation here where perhaps we do something like this. And I'm just saying about things that may potentially happen in the future. I'm not calling, again, I'm not calling for them to happen right now or to happen before any major move to the upside. I do not know that. And I cannot stress this enough. I'm just showing you guys important levels on the chart that you got to pay attention to. Okay, so just be mindful of this possibility, because if we don't do it now, there is a chance of doing it later. Okay, that's the important thing that I want to get across. The second thing that I must mention is that it's not just this trend line, but we also have another trend right here that is missing a third touch. So, you know, there are some potentials for another move to the downside. And right now I'm currently highlighting all of the trends that currently stand out. I'm actually going to be keeping this black because we have already retested it. I'll make this actually a little bit less thicker so you guys can see a little bit better the ones that have yet to, you know, be tested for the third time, just so you guys can see, you know, what I'm trying to say here a little bit better. And this one right here is also missing the third touch. Okay, so there's quite a little bit. Again, a trend line can expire, especially the ones that go to the downside. They can expire. For example, this one right here, just to kind of show you, will expire officially, you know, February of next year, pretty much. Okay, so those are things that you got to pay attention to. So yeah, let's continue. 222 also had a great recovery of a third touch of a trend line. Again, showing you guys why they're so important. You got a trend line channel right here from which you broken out to, well, you broken from. The thing about this trend line channel that I see, which, you know, has been retested even previously, and it's good. However, the lower spectrum of this trend line channel, aka this lower trend line right here, which I hope, okay, I didn't get it. This one right here, you know, it was not retested during this correction to the downside. So this does potentially create a situation where if we do end up bouncing from here, we can still see a shakeout afterwards, okay? But as you guys can see, I'm not necessarily calling for too crazy of a correction if it doesn't happen right now, okay? So, you know, those are just things that you gotta keep in mind. Does it have to do it? No. But you gotta be, especially when you're investing in this market, in this crypto market, you gotta be prepared for this type of situations. Okay. That's why you know, we never really went all in throughout this entire cycle until recently. We always had cash because we understood the downside risks. And that's why we were able to take advantage of those cheap prices. But a lot of people cannot say the same. Okay. And this is why, even though I'm extremely bullish at this moment in time, I still have to show you guys what are the risks, right? An experienced trader and a profitable trader understands both spectrums of this, both sides of the coin. So I'm trying to show you guys the upside and the downside. Okay, because while it is very optimistic, I I said on YouTube, right, publicly, that the bottom is almost staying. Granted that we did go a little bit lower afterwards after this video. So even yesterday, you can go and watch it. I said is the bottom in, and I gave you guys reasons to potentially expect that to be the case, but also reasons as to why I still think that we may not necessarily be done just yet. So I'm now in a position where, despite the fact that I do not necessarily know if it's the bottom or not, I understand that regardless, the bottom is pretty much very close. So even if we were to go a little bit lower, the downside that would happen, especially with these old coins that didn't really pump just yet, will not be as big as the downside that Bitcoin may experience. So to me, I can definitely weather that sort of a drawdown because it's number one, temporary drawdown. Second of all, it's not even that big. One decent swing to the upside would make me recover all that temporary drawdown, which I think is crucial to understand this simple concept in this game. So now let's start with the USD dominance chart because here on the weekly, there's actually something that I said right in the previous videos using this particular chart right here. Because on this chart, I showed you guys that this trend right here hit the price hit it for the third time, and look at what happened. We instantly had a rejection to the opposite direction. That's why I make such a big emphasis on speaking about why the third touches of a trend line are so important. Okay, but I also said that this, because this is an equilibrium zone, which you guys, if you do not know, you can actually learn it for free on the YouTube channel. It's the mentorship 2025. But I do have more in-depth content in the Discord if you want regarding this particular strategy, which is something that I came up with myself. But one thing about this particular strategy is that it's not necessarily a level of support or resistance. Okay, they do create reactions to the opposite direction, but you do get situations like this where the price does cut through it and then eventually starts to respect it, or at least retraces back into this zone. So what I want to see based on this particular chart here, which by the way, you can actually zoom in and see my idea right now. Okay, what I want to see ideally, if this is going to be bullish, in the next few hours, the lower this closes, the better. But what's even more important is that next week, we don't start with finding support in this area. Instead, we actually start to nuke to the downside. Okay, this is a very important thing that this week has to happen. So this week, I think that is going to be very, very important for the market at this moment in time, because it could either mean that we see another retrace to the upside on the USD dominance chart, aka more downside in the market, but we do not have to create a new low for sure. Okay, it could either be a simple retrace or it could be a new low in the market. Okay, that is if we hold between 7.90% and 7.45% on the USD dominance chart. These are the actual correct values. Okay. The other thing that should be happening if this is bullish, okay, is that we should start to nuke and start to add towards 6.59 and 6.47. Okay, this is another equilibrium zone where I would expect to see some sort of a reaction, and I think that it's very likely from there we will have a pullback in the market after a decent recovery to the upside. Return back into this region, we get a pullback in preparation for a significant leg to the downside. But this is only if the market is truly bullish and probably actually bottomed. Okay, so I think that this next week is going to be extremely important. Now, let's go back to this other USD dominance chart, and let's actually go on the daily, because on the daily here, this is why I use so many different charts, is this. Let me actually remove the magnet for a second. So here is the present situation as of today currently, okay? And this will of course change tomorrow once we get another daily candle closure and a weekly candle closure. But right now you can see that we are actually finding support on the trendline channel, okay? So if we find support, okay, there is still the chance that, as I've displayed over here, that this can see another push to the upside towards this bearish trendline channel. And this is where this idea right here potentially, is further validation of what I'm seeing with two different charts, essentially. Because here I got a bearish trendline channel that still requires potentially another push to the upside. Okay, that will be as of today up to, hold on, a second, potentially up to 7 point 9.70 pretty much. Okay, uh, that will be a push to the upside to this region and another low in the market. Okay, if we hold support, so that's why I'm saying it's going to be a very important week at this moment in time. So it's pretty much the same trend line. The only difference here is that I'm even more specific and showing you guys the entire area where we could potentially go with this bearish trending channel. But the positive about this is that even if we were to go up into this region, my bias still remains, and we will see an important major move to the upside, guys, in the crypto market. Because when we break through a trend line, right, like we did over a year, price, what it usually does is actually climb back up in certain situations like this, create another high. But what it's actually doing is actually rejecting a trend that was meant to be bullish, but once you break it, it's also become a bearish trend line. So what this is telling me already is that whether this happens or not, we have we are already shifting from a bullish trend for the USD dominance chart into a bearish one. So regardless of whether we are bottom right now or not, this is extremely bullish. This is what will lead us into an old season, into a major bull swing to the upside. So, it doesn't really matter what happens right now. This chart is actually telling us that even if that could be the case, that is actually an opportunity that you don't want to miss out on if you have the capital for it. Okay. This is extremely bullish for the altcoins. Now, moving on, this is the contrarian chart. I have quite a few charts, as you guys may know if you guys have been watching the videos. But yeah, look at what you got over here. This is the total one chart, okay? And basically, even here we had a bullish trending channel, which I will actually kind of show you guys from wick to wick and wick to body. You can see that this is your current level of support, and that price is in a situation here where not only is it bouncing from a bullish trending channel, which is the one that I've just added to the chart, but it's also in a bullish golden pocket. So what does that make you think, right? This makes you think that we should see at least a move to the upside to around 2.86 to 2.92 trillion dollars. So this is what's making me believe that we still have at least we are still at least going to have a small move to the upside. Now, what happens afterwards? It really depends on what we do over here. Do we manage to climb above this trending channel that is currently bearish or not? Right. So this is currently going to be the biggest battle that we got at this moment in time, truthfully. You get above it, and yes, you do have a little bit of resistance right above, starting from 305 to 3.18 trillion dollars. But if you manage to climb above this entire area, then you're of course looking at 3.61 trillion dollars. The question is, are we actually ready for it right now? And that is something that we will have to monitor from next week. Okay, so as long as this region holds, these are your levels, and this is going to be your next level of resistance. So by the looks of it, if everything continues to look the way that it is in the next 9 hours and 44 minutes, I think that we should be seeing at least continuation to the upside. Okay, at least up into this level. From there onwards, we will have to reassess based on how we behave up in this region. We could either reject and continue lower. We could also reject and start to go sideways, or we could actually flip this area entirely as a support and we start to make our way back. Moving on. Let's start with the total 2. So the total 2 chart here, for example, I had 2 different projections that I gave premium the heads up about while we were trading on all-time highs. Okay, and I said that we could either go to this trend lines right here, or we could either hold between this the 50% and 6.8% of this Fibonacci. And you can see that we're currently still below the 200 EMA, but I think that it could potentially recover. We will have to see. One thing that I must say is that we did not test this trend right here. Well, it actually depends on how you look at it. If you go from wick to wick, then yes, we have. If you were to cut through the bodies, right, we did not. Okay, you can see that we did not test this trend right here just yet. We also did not test this trend line right here from COVID, okay, which is a trend line that has pretty much generated every major bull run since COVID. Of course, this only happened in 2 instances right now. So what does that mean? That the next time that we end up touching this particular trend line right here, which I will make even thicker just so you guys can see it even better, okay, the next time will be the 3rd time. So what does that tell you already? That we will have a bear trap where we quickly break through this trend line, but then we will have a rejection of the downtrend and a major move to the upside. I think that this is going to lead, in my opinion, to the biggest bull run that we have yet seen in the market, and I'm extremely bullish for it. But the question is, do we hit this trend right here now or a little bit later down the line? That's something that we got to figure out as time goes on, and that's not something that I have an answer to. But what I do have an answer to is, should we buy right now? And the answer to that is yes, guys. I mean, look at where we went already, and look at how much further the market really has to go. It's not even that much. Buying right now, despite the possibility of some extra downside, in my opinion, is worth it, right? I mean, look at where you're taking the risk. Assuming that this is where we bottom, look at where you're technically taking your risk, right? Compared to the upside that it's likely that we're going to achieve. And all these runs right here are also missing a 3rd touch. So it's very likely that on the total 2 chart, we will go north of $3 trillion. Okay, that's a 3x from the current levels in which we're in. And from that trend right there, that is, yeah, pretty much a 3x, and potentially breaking through it, yeah, 311%. So think about how much money is about to enter in crypto when everybody's calling it dead, everybody's calling it, a scam, all those sort of FUD that always comes at the bottom. If we see a continuation to the downside, you can actually expect to see even more FUD about crypto. But that's when you want to buy. These people that run the narratives will never be extremely bullish at the bottom. They want to keep you out. They want to keep you scared. They don't want you to be buying where it's actually going to be life-changing money. That would be too, it wouldn't be fair to them based on the way that they think about the market, right? They will want you to keep you scared, but they want you to keep you excited during the move to the upside, because then you keep on adding and adding and adding when they're actually starting to exit and exit and exit. You gotta learn the game, okay? So that's what I gotta say about the total 2 chart. Let's move on. Let's start with the total 3 now. Total 3, again, we actually got pretty nicely above the 200 EMA. We did have a rejection, but my area of support so far currently holding, guys. So ideally now, what I want to see, doesn't have to do it now, but I want to see it from next week. We need to reclaim this trend right here. We want to flip this area as a support. So from next week, I want us to go back to at least $858 billion and $920 billion. Therefore, I am bullish. Like I said before, short term, at least. From there onwards, we want to reassess. Do we hold this area as a support or as a resistance? If it holds as a resistance, it's very likely that we will go back between 743 billion, 633 billion. If we lose it, it's very likely that we will end up touching this trend line from COVID here as well. And from next week we are looking at $504 billion. So these are your current levels, okay, on the total tree chart. You may want to add these levels to your own chart. The other chart, very very bullish. We did go into this bullish trending channel. We also touched this runner here for the third time. You can see the price quickly went back up. It's also in a lot of bullish golden pockets, so there's a lot of support for altcoins, guys, at these levels. Don't sleep on the altcoins, especially now. These coins are about to go into a major move to the upside in the future. So definitely pay attention to them. The first hurdle that you're going to have to the upside is most likely going to be the 200 EMA, and that is at $214 billion to the upside. So in terms of percentages, you're looking at a 22% move to the upside on the altcoins. So that is very good. If you manage to go all the way up to the 50 EMA, that's a 39 or 56%. Of course, the EMAs do change as the candle close, and this is the weekly time frame. So you may want to add these EMAs for this particular chart if you're going to be following these particular levels that I'm giving you. Not financial advice. The next level of resistance is going to be between 261 and $264 billion. That is, of course, if we end up getting there right away. But yeah, we held a lot of important levels for now. Okay, but the trend that ideally I still want us to go and hit is this middle line right here, currently placed at $137 billion, and that is the trend from COVID. So if you want to see a major move to the upside, I'm talking about even $830 billion for all coins only, right? That's what, like a 7x from here. You want to have the extra bit of downside. Like, don't lose hope at the bottom. I'm seeing a lot of people that are hopeless right now. People saying, oh, the 4-year cycle has expired, we shouldn't expect to see any major upside from here. I think that the people that are calling for a 5-year cycle now will get somewhat validated this time around. um, I don't know to which extent. I don't care. But what I do know is that the technicals are screaming for a major move to the upside to begin soon. That's what I'm personally convinced of. You don't have to follow me. I'm just saying what I have in mind based on what I see. Bitcoin. So Bitcoin. The only thing that I will say about Bitcoin is that yes, it's in a bullish golden pocket, therefore it can bounce. Your first level of resistance this particular week is going to be ideally 77.9. We could pretty much say 78k, 78k. It's actually 77.6 to be super precise. Next, you got 73.7 to 74.4. That will be a very important level of potential resistance. But like I said in previous videos, I want to see candle closure happen through this level on both sides. I said, go watch the previous videos if you don't believe me. But I said I wanted to see candle closures, right, both to the downside and to the upside to cover this gap, because this is a gap that we had, okay, despite this candle right here. Um, it is a gap from March of 2024 to April of 2025. We didn't really transact in this region. And what the market does is it wants to fix inefficiencies. The market wants to be efficient. That's why it goes back to equilibrium points. So I want us to actually transact for a little bit here, or at least have two weekly candle closures happen through this area to consider this gap filled. Okay. Moving on, we got Solana. So Solana, I've been calling bottoms for, well, I've been calling the move on Solana since this move to the upside. People in premium know that this projection right here was given ahead of time from pretty much right here. At some point of 2025, I think it was around May of 2025. I will have to go back and check, but I said that this was going to move to the upside, find resistance right here before a major flush to the downside. And now I am seeing that we are at the bottom of this parallel channel, okay? And I gave this level right here, 78.65. I also gave it on Involio, which if you guys haven't followed me already on Involio, make sure that you go and do that. There is a link down below, so you can do that. But I said As you guys can see, I was calling for a sub $100 Solana. Then I said that the bottom was going to have between 78 to $59. Lo and behold, we actually did just that. We actually went to as low as $67.69. We instantly recovered and closed that daily candle above my particular level. Therefore, right now I am bullish on Solana. I am bullish all the way up to $124 minimum. From there onwards, we could either flip that level right there as a support, or we find resistance at $169. Although, well, we have to assess this as the time progresses. Okay, that's what I will say. So I'm pretty confident in a decent move on Solana. We had all these different total charts pretty much suggesting that a move to the upside is pretty much coming very, very soon. So not much else to say. Very, very bullish on it. Moving on, let's go to my main layout. And this is the total one chart. As you guys can see, we hit an important trend line from January of 2024 to August of 2024. We just hit the trend for the third time. We are trapped. Instant recovery. Move to the upside is next. We are looking at least $2.72 trillion here. If we manage to break that, we are looking at $3.08 trillion. So this move to the upside is what all these charts are calling for. They do have, in some cases, different price levels, but what they are all saying, right, is upside move incoming. Moving on, we got a total 2. So total 2 on this particular chart. Here we can see that we did not retest this run right here since breaking out of it. So this is telling you again that we may have that extra move to the downside in the future. Okay, just gotta pay attention to that. Those will be your current levels of support: 804, 738, $734 billion as your levels of support currently. Of course, this can change. Okay, for example, from tomorrow it's 730, but you get the point. You have this trend right here, this one right here, from which we broken below, but we didn't instantly have a major push to the upside. So this will be your very first level of resistance, which we may cut through pretty easily. That's a $102 trillion. But then again, it's a level of resistance. You gotta treat it as such. If you plot a Fibonacci from these particular levels, you can actually see that you have a bearish golden pocket right there. So that's something you gotta pay attention to. You flip this level, then you're looking at $1.1 trillion. You flip that level, you're looking all of a sudden at 1.3 to $1.33 trillion. Okay, those will be your levels at this moment and time. Total 3. We bounce from the golden pocket, 740 to $768 billion will be your levels of resistance at this moment in time. So let me actually change the color of this. The orders chart, pretty decent bounce from my area. We liquidated this low, so very optimistic that this can and probably will go back up to at least $221 billion right here. From there onwards, we will have to reassess once we get more information. Here, Bitcoin is currently making the move 71.1. I think that 73 and $74,000 are coming. Pretty much the same exact levels that we had to watch before. Okay. So moving on, I will show you guys another Bitcoin chart where you can actually see my trade. Currently at a profit, of course. But yeah, here we're still looking at 73.7 and 74.4. You break through that and you're looking at 80.5. From there onwards, you can easily start to expect from next week to look at towards 85.3. But that is, of course, if we get through both 73 and $74,000 and 80.5K. Okay. But overall, what do you understand? What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that despite how far you want to look at it and any potential levels that can change the trend back to the downside for now, that despite all of that, there is room to the upside. At the very least, we are looking at $73,000 to $74,000. Can you exploit that? Absolutely, yes, you can. Right? You can exploit, and that's why you want to, prepare scenarios, different scenarios, and you want to look for that one particular swing that all of the different scenarios propose. Okay, and once you have different scenarios all sharing one particular swing, regardless of what then happens afterwards, that's your most high probability trade that you can get out of a scenario, in my opinion, because at least you have all different situations still aligning with that particular thing, and that's something that you want to take advantage of. So yeah, currently bullish at this moment. Moving on, let's start with the Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance pretty much not really moving at this moment. I said that I still want us to go to around 60.4. Kind of bumpy right now, but we are still pretty much in the same exact regions. Let me actually align this trend line properly. 60.40, that will be, I think, at least where we should be moving back up to. But from, within this region is where I think that we should be done with this moves with this Bitcoin dominance, and from there onwards, I think that we are ready for some major downside, which will lead into an old season. Moving on, we got Ethereum, which I'm also long on. Pretty much gave this level over here on Involio as well. Not gonna be looking for that right now, but still you can go and look for it if you want. And yeah, you can see third touch of the trend line. We went a little bit lower, then pushed back up on the next candle. Now we are ready to move to the upside. Your very first level of resistance, in my opinion, is going to be at 2,497. Okay, once you flip that, okay, you're looking at $3,000 all of a sudden. So I think that we are due for an important recovery back up. But what happens afterwards, that's a different story. Even here on Ethereum, we didn't touch the trailing from COVID. Ideally, I wanted to see us going down to around 1,500, 1,600 as well. 15, 16. That's kind of what I ideally wanted. Just to be even more sure, but this is still happening all within my area of a potential bottom. So pretty decent as to what should potentially happen right here. Even here, the total 3 minus Solana, BNB, XRP, USDT, and USDC. Nice recovery from the level that I said it was going to be where we potentially were bottom. We have liquidated the low of October 10th. Therefore, now I'm expecting to see a push to the upside to at least $282 billion. From there onwards, we will see what ends up happening. However, it's important to state that, hold on, I grabbed the wrong thing. It's important to state here that, we didn't touch the COVID trend line. So, we don't have to, but then again, you got to watch out for it. I think that we may see $191 billion, which, if you consider that we currently bottom at $199 billion, an $8 billion move to the downside, would that scare you when you see this low not necessarily, potentially not holding, and we go a little bit lower, right? So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Regardless of how you want to look at it, this is extremely bullish. Then before moving on, I want to show you guys this chart right here, which I haven't really showed publicly at all. This is not something that I usually open, but to premium, I actually gave this a long while ago. I gave this a long time ago, but it's essentially the Bitcoin dominance plus Ethereum dominance plus XRP dominance. So basically, all important dominances that are not all coins that have yet to pump. Okay, and the reason why I wanted to do that is to kind of show you why I think that what will happen next is a rotation of dominance into all coins that have yet to pump. Okay, and I gave them this projection, and I said that this was going to be the area where we end up topping. I don't know why, but this thing should have been a little bit lower. Or no, sorry, it was probably like this. Okay, where we had the wick, third touch of the trend line. Okay, and from there onwards, we actually started to reverse to the downside. I also spoke about this volume imbalance on the 5 month chart, as you can see, this gap right here, okay. So, I'm still calling for a major old season to happen next, okay. It's not going to be super easy, but I think that we will have an important old season ahead of us, where positioning is going to be everything. Now, this is a trend line for something that I think is likely going to happen in the future. I won't say exactly what publicly, but I think that if you are in premium, and if you have eyes, you may have caught on to. But anyways, that's a different story. So let me know your thoughts, guys. What do you think?